All right. Well, hello again, folks. If you are just joining us, again, my name is Jaime Murray. I'm a naturalist here at the aquarium, and I'm over here on the left side of the second floor mezzanine. However, just about to enter the exhibit are a few of our trainers who will be doing a feeding and training session with these four hungry sea otters here this morning. Now, of the four otters here on exhibit, we have two blondes and two brunettes. So let's see if we can spot everyone here as they make their way towards that deck. Now, way over on the right-hand side of the exhibit would be our blondest otter, Ivy. She has blonde all the way from the top of her head down to the middle of her belly. However, all the way on the left-hand side of the exhibit is our other blonde Kit. She happens to be the largest otter here at the aquarium and has that big golden blonde head poking out of the water. It looks like our trainers have just made their way in. Now, the last two otters we have here on exhibit are the brunettes. They're right here in the center. Now, on that left-hand side, we have our youngest otter, Ruby, and next to her, on the right, that would be Selka, who's our darkest, brownest sea otter. Now, like I mentioned, the four of them are doing a feeding and a training session. So we're asking them to do a variety of different behaviors that assist with their animal care here at the aquarium. And we do this using a method called positive reinforcement. So every time we ask the otters to do a behavior and they choose to do so, they're rewarded with those tasty treats you see there on exhibit. And if they choose not to, that's okay. You see, we can re-engage the otters throughout the session, but ultimately, it's always up to them whether or not they want to participate in their training. Now, we ask these otters to do behaviors that both relate to natural behaviors as well as caring for them here at the aquarium. So you might have seen Selka just pop up out of the water and give us that amazing spin. And while it might be a very cute activity, it's also a really important survival skill for sea otters in the wild. You see, popping up out of the water and spinning around is something called periscoping. It's an important behavior wild otters will do to observe the water around them and check for predators. Now, up on the deck, you'll see one of our otters participating in a husbandry behavior, or a behavior that allows us to help care for them here at the aquarium. You'll see Ruby, she's touched her nose to that target, that blue and white ball on the end of the stick, and that allows her trainer, Courtney, to get a good view of her face, up close and personal. It's kind of like getting a checkup right here in the exhibit. Now, folks, it is important to note that every time you see a person inside an exhibit here at the aquarium, they're doing quick checkups, quick evaluations of all the animals present. And by participating in these trainings, our otters are able to participate in their own health care right here, all on their own. Now, back to the tasty treats you might see making their way through the exhibit. On the menu today, the otters will be munching on squid, shrimp, and shelled clam's tongue, which is a lot of soft, squishy food. Now, in the wild, otters, they eat a variety of different marine invertebrates, or animals without backbones, many of which come trapped in a hard shell. Think crabs, sea urchins, even abalone. Now, in the wild, otters use tools to crack these shells open. They'll use a rock or another hard object, hit it against that shell, and get the meat from inside. But you see, here on exhibit, we've made that mistake, and we've given the otters those crunchy foods in the past. And they've shown us the best way to crack into them is to hit them really hard against the clear exhibit windows you're all looking through now. So instead, we stick to the soft, squishy food here on exhibit and save that crunchy stuff for behind the scenes. Now, it looks like we've got an otter up on the deck as well, participating in another one of those checkups. You see, we ask the otters to hop up on the deck so our trainer can get a good view of their body out of the water. However, the otters in the water are doing the same thing. You might notice way over on the right-hand side, we have an otter swimming back and forth to the window. This allows their trainer to evaluate how they move and watch how they swim right here inside the exhibit. Out in the wild, these otters can spend the entirety of their life in the water, and it allows them to perform lots of different behaviors as well here at the aquarium. Now, folks, like I mentioned before the feeding, these otters have some really important jobs here at the aquarium. When they're here on exhibit, they serve as ambassadors for their species, and they teach all of us what it takes to be a sea otter. However, behind the scenes, these otters have an even more important job because they're part of the sea otter surrogacy program here at the aquarium. You see, this is a one-of-a-kind program. It happens nowhere else in the world. Our sea otters are actually able to be paired up with pups that have been found stranded and rescued from the wild. Once paired, exhibit otter and pup, they go behind the scenes and they're given time to bond. So our otter can teach that pup all the skills they need to know to survive. They'll learn how to periscope and pop up out of the water, how to dive and hunt for prey, and even how to crack open all that hard-shelled food. And once those pups have mastered the essential life skills of being a sea otter, they'll then head back out to the Monterey Bay and support their local sea otter population. And that, folks, that's the most important job. You see, if you head out to our back decks today, you're very likely to see some otters lounging in the kelp forest just behind the aquarium. I saw a few this morning when I was out checking a look. But this wasn't always the case, because in the 1800s, otters were actually hunted during the fur trade to near extinction. And at one point, there were only 50 sea otters left. Yeah, you heard me right, 50, 5-0. Now, that last raft of otters, they were discovered off the coast of Big Sur, luckily by some otter advocates who were able to take action. They knew they might be looking at the last raft of southern sea otters in existence, and they knew they needed to be protected. So now, after a lot of hard work and communities banding together to protect these otters, sea otters are once again protected here in California. And that protection, partnered with our surrogacy program, has allowed that wild otter population to rise from only 50 to now nearly 3,000 individuals today. So please, thank the otters here on exhibit for all the hard work they've done to support their species. And it looks like they're getting their favorite thank you, which is that last bit of food to finish up at their leisure. Feel free to stick around and watch how they finish up their snacks. Now, folks, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the Sea Otter Surrogacy Program, again, my name is Jaime Marie. Come on up after the program. I'm more than happy to chat. However, you can also head just behind you to the auditorium. At 11:30, we will be showing Luna a sea otter story to follow the story of some of the incredible journeys these sea otters have taken. Now again, if you have any questions at all, come on up. My name is Jaime Marie. I'm always happy to chat with you here on the second floor mezzanine. But if you're ready to move on and keep exploring, thanks for joining me here at the Sea Otter exhibit, and have a great time today at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.